Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Chilling Neigh Podcast, your premier VGC podcast. My name is Rashil, aka Conkalog VGC, and I'm joined by my co-host Tommy Hayden and Say My VGC. What's up, guys?
The days you get your own name wrong. Let's go.
I
Welcome on in,
know.
everyone.
Yeah, should we restart? No, let's just keep it going.
Let's
That's
just
funny.
roll with it.
Let's
Let's
roll
roll
with
with it. Let's roll with it. So the big thing on everyone's mind right now is Regulation E, and even though we don't have announcement for the rule set yet, we've been kind of assuming that it's all the new DLC mons, and so I want to kind of start off with your thoughts on some of the new mons that were introduced, especially some of these that are extremely strong. So I want to first start off on Ogerpon and just kind of go wherever you guys want to with it. But what are your thoughts on Ogerpon and kind of all the forms?
I'm gonna be honest. I am much bigger fan of Ogre Ousting than I am of No, I'm just kidding. But Ogre Ousting has been a blast. But besides the point, Ogerpon is great. It's kind of one of those like utility mons, like like a Swiss Army knife. It can kind of do it all. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's in a sense Ogerpon, right? Because like you can do 4 different types with it, which is incredible. Right? Well, 3 technically, but is it 3? Would you call that 3 or 4 different types? Because like it's technically
Well,
4. It's 4 forms, but technically grass isn't really a new. Anyways, besides the point. But it can kind of do it all, right? You can kind of fit the needs of your team with this piece, and it's incredibly, incredibly strong as well. It's not just like this. Oh, hey, it's a cool piece. I can throw it on here. No, it's like a really good piece that I feel like has so many ways to work its ways onto teams. It's gonna be a big part of the meta. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
The Fire Mask was just one-shotting my entire team the first time I played Reg E. So I haven't played the full DLC yet. I haven't even started it really yet. So I'm just like, all right, I'll get to it. I'm finishing up some sword. I want to get all the home transfer mods I can before I start the DLC. And I'm not going to an event other than the Beast Coast one this weekend. Shout out that. We'll talk more about that later. But I was like, you know what? Let me just play this Reg E tournament. And I faced the Fire Ogerpon, and the +1 IV Cudgel just one-shot Hatterene, Terra Water,
So
one-shot my Indeedee,
Yeah.
just one-shotting everything. I was like, what is going on right now?
Yeah.
Oh my god, this thing's a menace.
It's crazy because they gave it so many good tools. Like it's not just like, oh, there's one thing that makes it
Right.
busted. They gave a Grassmon follow me so you can redirect any spores,
Yep.
which is crazy already. That's the
Not when
first.
you Terra though, right? When you lose your grass
You
type.
lose
when
your
Terra.
grass type when you Terra, but like still,
Okay.
that's a
Still,
trade-off I'm willing to take.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's already amazing. And then it gave the fire form mold breaker, so you can hit Heatrans, you can hit Armarouge. It gave the water version water absorb, so that's just like hard walls Urshifu. You have to go for close combats. And then the rock version hasn't really seen much play, but sturdy's still a pretty good ability. And
100% accurate Stone Edge, effectively.
yeah, yep. And like being able to be like Terra and get the boost with like +1 attack for the fire form plus the Terra Fire. Just I think Chuppa posted a calc of it just one shots Iron Hands with like Sword of Ruin next
Yeah.
to it or something like that.
It can,
Which is
yeah.
just absurd. Which is just absurd. I mean like Iron Hands is like insanely physically bulky too, so like just being able to see that is crazy. And then even the the grass version getting like a speed boost can actually be like pretty problematic for like
I think that one's underrated too.
And Defiant? How about Defiant? Why aren't we talking about Defiant?
Lando
So
everywhere
you get
too.
an item.
Like, yeah,
And you get an item.
Can I understand? Can you guys help me understand the boost IV Cudgel gets? So, from my understanding, it's Terra boot, like the Terra Fire boost, a stab boost, a 1.2 boost from the mask, and then a high critical hit chance.
Yep.
So it gets basically 3 boosts just naturally from Terra if you're Terra, the stab, and the 1.2 mask.
The 1.2 is on all moves, not on the Cudgel. It's on all of them.
it's on all
Okay.
moves, and even if you don't Terra.
Even if you don't Terra.
Like, as long as you have the
I thought
mask
it was
in-
only if you Terra'd.
Nah, time to get your
Yeah,
masks on, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, no, that's
Absurd.
really actually. I wish I had a mask to put on right.
Yeah,
when you
I was
said that.
I was literally thinking the exact same thing. I was literally looking around my room like, can I grab a mask?
It's crazy. It's crazy. And like think like the fire form was kind of the most obviously like offensively
Hmm.
busted, but I think I've seen a lot more of the water pop up recently with like swords dance
Really?
stuff like that too.
Okay.
Um, which is really interesting to see because swords dance on Ogerpon is just like even scarier. Um,
Yeah.
so this mod, like I think everyone was so worried and like about Urshifu just dominating until restricted formats. Now there's been a bit. I mean, Urshifu is obviously still there, but now they introduced a mon that's faster than it that can OHKO it and kind of forces you to Terra into a non-water Terra if you're going to use it, and it can also just hard wall the surging strikes with the water version stuff like that. So it's kind of insane that they introduced basically a new station form that's just absolutely busted, didn't get nerfed at all. It's just crazy.
It,
I got a question for Ryan.
oh no, I'm scared now. Whenever Tommy directs a question at me, I'm kind of scared. I'm gonna be honest, but go ahead, Tommy.
So this thing's awesome. Conk's hyping it up. Like, we're loving it right now. Like, it's awesome.
Okay.
What if we're wrong about the format and it's not legal? Has there ever been anything like that in your days of playing?
See, for me, when I've been playing for a while, right? And back when I started playing, it was one format for the entire year, right? So we would kind of know what was going on. We knew what was happening, and that was that. And then in 2019, it shifted to 3 formats. And in 2019, we had the 3 formats, but those were all announced up front. So like we knew what those formats were coming in, which is, by the way, the better way to do it. But anyways, besides the point. Now we're on this whole thing of series. I've never had an event the first weekend of October, or second weekend, technically second weekend for Peoria coming up. But they're going into this format. They're going to have a week of official prep. We've never had a format announced this late, I don't think.
That's what
Now,
I
I
mean.
could be wrong, but from my memory, we have not. And it's
What if
just,
we're wrong about it? What if
that's-
we're all
right.
wrong?
And that's the thing. We could very well all be wrong on what we're assuming, or as I like to call it, regulation maybe. But like, it's just it was a really bad joke, but I put down a couple stream titles.
Love that.
Anyways, besides the point, it's like
the title. Please make that the title.
It's funny because like they announced I'm gonna butcher it, Kitagami
Yeah.
prologue, right?
There's
And
no
that's
way.
like on tournament with a
There's no-
completely different rule set, but there's no way that
There's no
like
way.
I've seen people freak out about it. I made a joke about it on Twitter too, but I like
They will not make that. They will not make that the format.
yeah,
That's
that
not
would
even
be
for
the
season,
bizarre-
right?
My guess is the only reason we're all like freaking out about them changing the format is because of the wording of the announcement, saying that official rules and a ban list will be announced at when the
There's
series.
always a ban list.
Hmm?
U2's banned. U2's
Right,
on the
and
ban
that's
list
what
or
I'm
whatever.
saying. But people, I think, are overhyping the word ban list because of the announcement, and I think
Yeah.
it's just gonna be you're gonna ban your mythicals, you're gonna ban, you're gonna ban
The
your
box
restricteds,
legendary.
you're gonna ban all that kind of stuff. But like, none of these are categorized as any of those things that would normally be banned. I believe all 4 of them are sub legends, I believe, so very similar to Landorus in that regard.
And our
So
security, yeah.
I'm under my understanding, none of them are getting banned. They're gonna be allowed into this format, and we're gonna have to just deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's insane. I'm hoping for everyone's sake that Reggie is exactly what we think it is because then these last few weeks won't have gone to waste. I mean I'm not personally going to any regulation need for tournaments, but I just hope for the whole player base's sake that it doesn't just change last minute. Because that would be chaotic.
Okay, but
Uh,
the way I look at it though is if it does change last minute, right? Let's just say it does change, right?
Mhm.
What would it be?
What are they changing? Like, let's just say they say no Ogerpon and no Loyal 3. Let's just say they say that. I don't think banning the Loyal 3 is changing anything that's happening in Regulation E, minus maybe a few teams. So that's irrelevant. If they ban Ogerpon, I feel like we just go back to Reg D.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what
it's
I mean.
literally effectively Reg D plus a few other Pokemon. Like, I don't see too much changing. Like, I don't think everybody's going to be struggling if they do ban those Pokemon.
right.
But
No, that definitely makes sense. Okay, well, I want to shift to the next one that I think is really strong, and I personally hate going against it. Sinistcha. So another
Haha,
mod.
matcha gotcha. Sorry, I'm done.
Gotcha. Another mod with ridiculous tools. Rage Powder, Trick Room, and then Matcha Gotcha with which is essentially a spread Giga Drain Scald, which is just ridiculous.
It's technically a
Uh,
little less than Scald. It's only 20% burn, but yes, and it can miss. But still, I get your point. It's spread Giga Drain
yeah.
Scald. It's disgusting.
I wanted to talk to you guys about using a Rangaroo next to this too. Is that as broken in theory? I mean, in practice, as I like think it will be.
Well, I think its best utility is like, or its best asset is its utility. So it
Okay.
gets like Rage Powder, Trick Room, Strength Sap,
Mhm.
Matcha Gotcha,
Yeah, I think that's just a
Shadow
set.
Ball.
That, in my
So
opinion, is
I
just
think
a set.
that's the best set that I've faced,
Okay.
and it's the most annoying set that I've faced. But I think like instead of using it more as like a offensive
Offensive mod.
option, I think it's better suited as a um what's it called, a utility mod with like hospitality too. I've seen like there was we're gonna talk about a bunch of tours coming up, but there were a lot of hospitality
You want to
synergies
cycle
that
that
was
in?
just helping setup mons heal. So I
Hmm.
think
I
that's
forgot
something
about
that
hospitality.
yeah.
Yeah.
I personally thought Heat Proof was gonna be the better ability, just because it would be a more consistent like Trick Room setter against like Flutter Chi-Yu
Hmm.
stuff. But I think Hospitality is actually being shown to be um, a really strong ability, and maybe the better ability.
Because it
I
activates every time,
Yeah,
right?
you can continue switch in and switch out, keep healing your partners. I do
Yeah.
think it's really strong. Now I know it's only 25%, but sometimes 25% is all you need, right? Sometimes you go that Shen Pao clicks sucker punch into you, it does 49 or 53%, and you're like, ugh, is it a roll? Do I live another one? Right? All of a sudden that extra mind game comes in now of you having that Sinister in the back to bring in, heal yourself up, make sure you're living it. Obviously, that's one small example, guys, right? You can do this with numerous amounts of Pokemon, numerous amounts of examples. But I do think
Yeah,
that hospitality is a really cool tool. Like, it works for Amoonguss on itself, obviously to a lesser degree now on the Sinistcha for its partner. But if it works on Amoonguss and keeping itself alive, I don't see why it wouldn't work for Sinistcha to keep its team alive.
yeah. It's we saw it. So this past weekend we saw a lot with like Wolf was using it with Como and Belly Drum Snorlax, and I think there was a couple other Comos as well. Kind of going for Klinger's Soul, and then it takes 33% health, but then you heal up 25% from the hospitality,
Exactly.
and you barely took any damage. So it's really strong next to that, and then I mean think everyone knows by now that I've been running 222 Dozo, and I hate facing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because having the burn chance and the strength up, I actually lost my win and in set yesterday for the big Mickey Lamouseathon, and winning in for cut because I was facing a Sinistra, and game one, all I needed was to not get burnt one time by this Matcha Gotcha, and unfortunately got burnt. Iron Hands lived a EQ on one. They got like Trick Room up and was able to
Yeah.
kind of roll from there. So it's a really frustrating mon to go against. That being said, it's I think really good utility and definitely going to be a staple. Not on every team, for sure. It's not one of those like it's not going to be a 60% usage mon or even a 40% usage mon, but I think it's going to have its place on like be 10% of teams and really do well on those teams.
Dude,
I
it's at
agree.
11%, 15%, and 13% usage.
Yeah.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
around.
I think it'll go up.
I do too,
I think it
actually.
hovers around 20 when the format actually kicks in, but maybe a little lower because it's not like one of those mods that's like slappable, right? You can't just say boom, Sinister patches all these matchups, right? Like it does, but like you can't just do that. You kind of have to have a game plan involving it. You can't just like it's not like Fluttermane, you know. You don't have a 5-mon team and go boom Fluttermane because you can do that, but you can't do that with Sinister. I don't think so. Around the 20s is what I'm expecting there, but I think it's a good mod.
Like
I
if
gotta
you
ask you guys.
go for it.
The first two mons we're talking about are grass mons. How does this affect Amoongus's usage? And when Amoongus's usage goes down, Amoongus gets better. So like, what's gonna happen with that mon right now? Are people gonna start prepping less for it? Is like, so what do you guys? What are your predictions on how these two mons will affect Amoongus and then Rillaboom's usage too? But mostly Amoongus, I'm curious about more.
Con, go ahead. I've got a pretty
it was actually interesting, like because what I was right about to say was if you're using Sinistra, like you're choosing not to use Ogerpon generally, like because you're not usually doubling up on grass types on your team, and so there's now very 3-4 very good grass types as options. So we've already seen kind of Amoonguss tank and usage early Reggie, and that's gonna be a bit of new toy syndrome. I think that's gonna pick back up. Just because Amoonguss has always been a good mon, but I think Ogerpon is the main reason that it's gone down so much because Ogerpon is not a really safe defensive Terra for Amoonguss anymore. Because a lot of them have been running Terra Water. If you Terra Water, Ogerpon is still gonna stay immune to Spore, and it can now hit you with, if it's running the Fire one, it can hit you either when you're a Grass type or when you're a Water type. And if you're, Terra something like a dragon type or something like to get,
Mhm.
neutral to or not very effective against any of the fire water grass, well, now you're weak to Flutter Mane, stuff like
Yep.
that. So this is going to be in a little bit of a tricky spot early on, but I think once people figure out how to use it properly, it's going to pick right back up.
Yep.
Maybe not the level that it had been, but it's still going to be a really good mon.
Conk, I'm inclined to agree. Like Amoonguss is never gonna not be good. Like the
Yeah.
tools Amoonguss has and the bulk Amoonguss has, everything it does screams good Pokemon. Like I really want artwork of this Amoonguss just sitting there screaming now. I don't know why, but besides the point, just like I'm still good, but like it's everything about it screams good Pokemon, right? And
Yeah.
there's no way that's gonna get kept down in the meta for this long. Like, yes, you say the fire type Ogerpon really does a number to it. Yeah, you can follow me spores. That's the biggest part, I think, because okay,
Yeah.
a Firemon being in the meta has never kept the Amoonguss out of the meta before, right? So I
Right.
think the big thing that's really keeping Amoonguss down right now is people are scared that they're gonna follow me my spore, but you can position that. I think people are overreacting to Amoonguss is dead. Amoonguss is dead. No. Amoonguss is very much alive. It's just people are trying out, like Conk said, the new toy syndrome, right? Amoonguss is gonna find its way back into the meta. I don't know if it's gonna hit the same amount because, like Conk said, you don't want double grass realistically, and there's
Yeah.
now a lot more grass types to choose from.
So many more.
But Amoonguss is
These
still an
two
incredibly
alone.
valuable piece.
Ogerpon and Sinestra just make it so much like, yeah, you have way more options now in the team building stage where Amoonguss was so slappable. Like you say, we're saying Sinestra's not slappable, Amoonguss is. And I just sent a tweet in the group chat too. Oh, Ruiz just tweeted out. I was checking Twitter like I shouldn't have been, but he tweeted out, "This is the best grass ghost type we've ever got. It's not even close. Who made this thing?" And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
As
that right when we're talking about it too, I was like, wow, that's pretty
yeah,
serendipitous.
as a
But
Trevenant supporter, I feel kind of sad. I feel cheated.
all right, how many
Well,
grass ghost types are there?
Trevenant,
Double-gassed,
Gorgeist,
which,
Bramblegast, and Sinistra, I believe.
yeah.
I don't think I'm missing one out of those four. I think there's only four. Well, obviously Ender Prievos, but like
The
Yeah.
pumpkin?
I got Gorgeist, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
guys? Okay,
Yeah.
I forgot its name, so I wasn't sure if we said it or not.
But
Crazy.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I like formats also start to tend to start pretty offensive, and it's a lot of like hyper
Mm-hmm.
offense, hard trick room, and then it'll start to balance out, and that's when people will start to kind of figure out the right balance comps
Balanced
with.
player supremacy. Let's go.
But for now, I am very much enjoying the 2-2-2 Dozo kind of steamrolling
No,
as
it's
much
a
as I
scary
can.
team to go up against though. Honestly,
Uh,
it really really is. Cuz like there's so
yeah.
many different modes to it. Like it's
Uh,
crazy.
It's an interesting team, and I do want to talk about it a little bit once we get to the Limitless tours. But it's a fun comp. But before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about Blood Moon Ursaluna because that's another
Yeah.
one of the really strong mons that was introduced. But unlike the other two, it's had a lot less usage early on than
Yeah.
Ogrepod and Sinistra. So I'm curious on your guys' thoughts on that.
Tommy, you want to take this one or do you want me to jump in?
Sure. I thought it was gonna be a special Ursaluna because they in the promo they kept calling it special. I I think its moveset's pretty good. Blood Moon hitting the ghost types like the Scrappy, not being able to get it, not caring about Intimidate, because it's special. Like I do wish it got some sort of guts boost, but again, it takes it's a special type 140 base normal stab move. So you can't use it twice in a row. That's the only drawback. That's not the worst drawback. It gets hyper voice, and I believe Blood Moon is a sound move too. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can't confirm nor deny that one.
I'm not
Okay.
sure.
So, um, throat spray seems like a good Blood Moon therapy. But like throat spray seems really good on this thing. The 52 speed's not bad. You know, you have to work around some stuff. No, it is not a sound type move, so I guess I made that up. Sorry about that.
You can still go for the throat spray on the hyper
You still go
voice.
for the throat spray and the
Yeah.
hyper voice though, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like it has good tools, and I'm surprised I haven't been seeing it more.
I have seen it. Not a lot, but I have seen it. And my problem with it is now that it's a special type, it doesn't really beat Iron Hands, and that's I think one of the things that you'd want Ursaluna for in the first place. I want my ground type to beat Iron Hands. That is why I have a ground type on my team. Not all
Power's
the
not doing
time,
it.
but like yes, Earth Power does what? 53, 56%, I think,
Yeah.
depending on spreads. It's just
When ass fast stands. Yeah.
like Iron Hands is once again proving its supremacy here. It's like, it's if you can't kill my Iron Hands in that trick room, I'm coming in, I'm gonna fake you out, and I'm gonna help pivot the rest of my team out of this trick room mode, right? It just doesn't exert enough pressure or the same amount of pressure that I think it needs to exert under those trick room turns to actually do what it wants to do.
Yeah, it's tough because, like you said, I mean, like AV Iron Hands is just not going to do enough, and B, without the guts, like
Yeah.
Ursaluna with the guts boost, just
It's-
doing so much damage that it's one-shotting like with neutral attacks. Like Facade is just one-shotting a lot of mons that aren't like the most bulky with just a neutral normal type attack, whereas Blood Moon is not necessarily picking up those one-hit knockouts. And also you can't go for Blood Moon twice in a row,
Yeah.
right? So like if you've used it and you didn't pick up a knockout and now you can't even go for it a second time. So like Facade where you can just keep cycling it. So I think that's the really tricky thing. I think seeing some people like I think I saw Lorcy tweet that he was like in top 5 on Showdown with Blood Moon, and some people are gonna figure out.
It is
I think
a good mod. It's not like it's not a
too
good mod.
strong. It's too strong for people to not eventually figure out how to use it properly. It's not the easiest to just be like Ursaluna was easy. It's just okay. You slap it next to Cress. You have Lunar Blessing. You have Levitate, so you can just go for EQs. You can go for Guts Facade. Really easy to just kind of see the vision, and you can
Agreed.
kind of go.
Right.
Moon, not so easy to just see, okay, here's how this is going to just kind of wreck things in Trick Room.
Like you can kind of
It-
see it, but like to actually execute it, it's not as, I don't want to say as free or as easy, because I don't want to like discredit like the Trick Room players, because getting into Trick Room and getting your Ursaluna to actually sweep is still incredibly difficult, right? And positioning that right and properly that people don't have game plans around is still not the easiest task, and it takes a good player to do so. But like you said, Conk, it was very easy. You could see the vision. You knew how to try and execute the vision, right? You go Trick Room, you bring in your big damage dealer with the Guts boost, and you just do insane amounts of damage, right? It's not the same with the Blood Moon, right? Yes, the concept is still generally the same. You want to get Trick Room up. You want to get your Hyper Voice, maybe if you're the Throat Spray set, right? You want to get your boost that way. You want to get set up. But, like, it's definitely not the same, but it is still a good mod. And I think we saw this with Ursaluna Crest as well originally, that it wasn't really doing well in tours until people started figuring it out and how to pilot it a lot better. And I think we're going to see the same thing here, where as the meta kind of develops, you're going to see a lot more players start realizing how to utilize this thing into the current meta, and it is going to be a threat, because I do think it's a good mod.
Agreed.
My brain's so broken. I just want to use Oranguru next to everything because I'm like Hyper Voice, instruct Hyper Voice, get the boost on the same turn.
That might be one of the better ways to use it.
I don't hate it. I've seen Dustclops try to proc weakness policy on it as well. That's a cool one.
Yeah, I think it's tough especially because normal type damage isn't hitting anything for super effective, right? And so that's like your big attacking moves.
Yeah.
It's tough to pick up those one-hit knockouts with it, so you really have to figure out a way, like a weakness policy boost, like a Ranguru struck. Those are like the ways that come to mind of like, okay, let's really pick up the damage quickly. But I think people will figure it out, and there's a lot of really committed hard Trick Room players that will figure it out for sure.
It'll be around.
So
What's
It'll be
boom
there.
burst damage?
Versus 140.
It doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
imagine.
Like you hit your own one too.
Good.
But yeah, that would have been
No,
crazy.
Dustclop. No, honestly, if it got Boom Burst, Dustclops procking the policy into Boom
would've been
Burst would be
crazy.
disgusting.
Right?
Yeah,
Let's
that
just
would've
live
been
in that
crazy.
world for a second.
Yeah, that would have been nuts.
I'd run
That
that.
would've been nuts. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun.
But it doesn't. So let's go back
Okay.
to reality. All right.
Well, now I want to kind of shift to the Limitless Tour. So there was 3 pretty big, one really big Limitless Tour this past weekend. So there was the VGC Trainer School
Shout
that
out.
for 400 people,
Yep.
and so I want to start with that one.
Sounds good to me.
And that one, a lot of big name players as well. I know Wolf played in that one, obviously. Betty Campo, Oroqueza, like just a lot of these, like Joe. So like just a lot of
Michael.
really good players. Yeah, Michael.
Yep.
So I want to kind of get your thoughts on what we're seeing from like the top teams here, and thoughts on some of the meta that we saw in this tournament.
Okay, I'm just gonna point out, and I know it takes a while to implement stuff, okay? But can Limitless please, trust me guys, I'm not trashing Limitless, I know it takes a while to implement this, but it is getting very annoying to look at this in team preview and see the one Ogre Pawn representing all 4 of them. Can we please like get this adjusted? But no, I really do, I'm not trying to trash here, but it's just gonna be, it's a little bit more difficult to filter through. That's all I'm saying.
I'll reach out.
No. Like I said, it's not like a big deal, you know?
Trying to implement it too, but like it's it takes time. But I
Well,
agree.
okay, exactly. Like I get it. It takes time. I'm sure they're trying something because like I know they don't implement the Gastrodon form because it's technically just a different form of the same Pokemon, and that's fine. It's the same Pokemon. But I think
Right.
here having a separate.
You want to see the different Gastrodons?
I would love to see the different Gastrodons. I'm sorry, I am a blue Gastrodon supporter, and seeing pink Gastrodon every single time I open a Limitless page, I am angry.
Disgusting.
It's disgusting. Get this pink Gastrodon off my screen.
They're usually pretty good about like answering support tickets. So every time I've reached out for anything, they've gotten back to me very
Like I
quickly.
said, I don't want to pressure them. I'm sure they're all
email.
busy. They've all got lives, and it's not like, and I'm sure it's not just an easy like, oh yeah, just implement it this way in like a 1, 2, 3 fix, right? Like I'm sure it's very difficult to actually get this going because I think it changes their whole coding, right? Because
Yeah,
like
'cause it's
generally
the
right
item.
now they don't have the form change really represented, right? Like Gastrodon
No.
is Gastrodon East or Gastrodon West, but it just goes in as Gastrodon, which is very valid. Right, so I think
Yeah.
that's the same
Mouthful
issue with
goes
the Ogre
in-
Pawn, and I don't know how they
Yeah.
actually go about changing their coding to actually fix that. So I'm sure they're trying because I'm sure they want to separate this usage as well. But just a little side note here.
So
But
thoughts
still.
on kind of actual like results of the tournament. So like first thing that comes to mind to me is like I see a lot of let's see how many 1, 2, 3 Komos in the top 16, which is not Amon or 4 actually. I think yeah.
Is it
Or
4?
Komos. 4 because Wolf, then the 13th, 14th player, and then
Yes, there is 4. Yes. Yeah, and then
yep.
third.
So
Yeah.
so a quarter of the top 16 using Como, which is not a mon that I think a lot of people had on their radar.
I didn't
And-
get the memo.
I did
Yeah,
get
and-
the memo, but
Okay.
I was a Komoa player back in 2018, so like it was already on my radar coming back. So like I was like, yeah, this thing's probably gonna be good again. You know, I haven't tested it myself personally, but I'm not surprised to see 4 of it in the meta right now, especially because you have players like that weren't around that long. Look at Komoa and go, oh, loses to Fluttermane, not worth it, or oh, doesn't do this, doesn't do what I want it to do, not worth it, right? And
Can you explain what it does do though?
it sets up. It gets an Omni boost in exchange for
Yeah,
33% of its health.
Well, it's actually interesting because so in the top 4, there's mainly two different types of sets that are made the
ID
are
body
in the
press?
top 16. Sorry, so there's
Yeah.
Iron Defense Body Press
Yep.
set, and which is really good against Firewater Grass stuff. Urshifu can't really even with the water crits, like it's not doing
It's not
much,
enough.
and then
Stab
Rillaboom,
body
stuff
press.
like that. Yeah. Then there's Clanger's Soul, which
Yeah, it's
is
split
the
2
Omni
and 2.
boost. Plus
I just checked all 4 in the top 16.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Wolfie and the 13th ranked player are using the Clanger Soul version.
Yeah.
With Wolf's using Throat Spray, and then this gentleman's using Leftovers. And then the other 2 are Iron Defense Body Press.
Yeah. So the cool interaction between Clanger's Soul, excuse me, is a sound-based move. So you
Yep.
get Throat Spray activation. So you get +2 special attack,
And +1
and then
everything else.
+1 everything else, and you can kind of start to sweep from there.
Mhm.
Um, and that was a cool Wolf's team was a cool implementation of the hospitality from Sinistra actually, because that's what I was saying before. You take 33% damage from your Klinger's Soul, but then you
Yeah,
heal
no.
25%,
Yep.
and then he was also running Belly Drum Snorlax,
Snorlax.
so it's kind of good pairings there,
Yep.
and um,
With the friend guard on Clefairy, you just become that much bulkier too.
Mm-hmm. I
exactly.
One thing I want to point out is I really think this tournament showcases early format to a T. And I'm saying this because if you look at most of these teams, right, they are all going in with a purpose, right? Like the Wolf team for sure. That's one I really want to point out. With the setup Snorlax, the setup Komodo, right? That's going in with a purpose. He's going in saying, "Hey, I'm gonna set up these pieces I'm gonna pick a piece. This piece is gonna win me the game. I'm gonna go in with this. That's gonna be how this game goes." And you see that in a lot of other scenarios as well. You see a couple Bax Calibers over here, a couple Dragon Dance. Was there Dragon Dance or was it a lot of Scale Shot loaded dice? I think Scale Shot loaded dice is a little bit more common.
Yeah,
But regardless, it's
shot.
still that piece that you're saying, okay, my game plan is going to be to get this piece set up, right? Same
But it
with
has
that hard
Swords
trick room
Dance.
team that got second with the Indeedee Armor Bridge. It's I'm going to go in and I'm going to get my mode set up. I feel as the meta starts developing, we see a lot more reactive teams saying that I'm just going to prevent you from getting your stuff set up. I'm going to just react to what you're going for, right? Obviously, to an extent, you're still going to try and activate your game plan, but I think early meta it's over exemplified. That's probably the wrong word, but there's all these these are my game plans. I'm going in, I'm setting up, I'm going in, I'm doing this, and that's what I'm playing to. I don't necessarily care what my opponent is doing, and I think that's an early meta thing, and you see it a lot on all of these teams.
Yeah, agreed. And I think
That's really interesting.
backing off that is I think the two really good examples of teams that I think will see those types of comps stay longer in the meta and kind of develop more towards this is the 8th place team and the 9th place team. So a player named Bat
Yeah.
and then Fedi Campo. So Bat's team is very much balanced. It's
Mhm.
screens with Alola Ninetales, Sinistra with Rocky Helmet, Urshifu, Assault Vest Heatran, Goggles, Galarian Moltres, and Scarflando.
Mhm.
Very much balanced. There's a little bit of setup with Galarian Moltres behind screens, but pretty much chipping down your opponent, right, trying to position.
Yep.
And I think that, I've seen Screens Ninetales being used quite a bit, and I think we see 3 in top 16, and so I think that's definitely going to pick up. And then Fedi Kempo's team is a little bit more of that bulky offense, where it's still balanced, but now you have Swords Dance, Water, Ogerpon,
Mhm.
and then you have Sinisha, you have Qianpao, Landorus, Iron Hand, so you can get a little bit more of that offense, but it's still more of a balanced team. So I think those are two kind of comps that I think we'll see really play as the meta develops. But like you're saying right now, there's a lot of, okay, here's what I want to set up, and I want to just go, and that's a lot of the top 16, the
Agreed.
top team did well.
And even those two teams you just pointed out are still that in a way, right? Like granted, it's always gonna be a thing, right? Like I know I'm saying this I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself, but yes, every team wants to do something. So in a sense, it's always gonna be a thing. But even on this, it's screens Ninetales, and your game plan is to get the screens up and set up your Moltres and probably keep it healthy, right? With the Sinistra, that checks out. Even Fede's team, right? It's so you're gonna go in, you're gonna try and set up. It's obviously very much more balancey oriented, but you're still trying to set up that Swords Dance on that Ogerpon, right? I just feel like all this setup is just to try and make sure you have your own game mode right now.
Right.
And maybe that dies off as the format kind of keeps going.
Yeah.
And I want to shout out the Meowscarada team.
That's very cool. I feel like there's always one. There's
always one Meowscarada. It's like there's always one 222 Dozo sitting down here in 23rd.
Yeah. Yep.
Meowscarada is 12th.
Yeah.
Meowscarada
always
and
one. It is a cool team though.
I haven't seen a Hoodra in a long time, but that one
Mhm.
Yeah.
Doing
But
the
once
thing.
again, you're going in here and your game plan is you're either going to set up with your Gudra so they can't break you, or you're going to try and get some Tailwind up and just go crazy with Abandoned Meowscarada, right? Once again, you're still exemplifying your own concept. And I
Yeah.
think the big takeaway from this is it's good to actually have something to lean on, you know? Like,
Yeah.
for me, Pittsburgh Regionals, right? Like, it was different. Like, I had a dedicated lead if I didn't know what to lead, and having that felt really, really good. And I know it's dumb, right? Because you have all these game plans versus all these things, but having a lead when you just say, "I don't know what I need to do here," but to have that lead into this like the general consensus, or to just set up your game plan in this case, right? It's something that's very comforting when you're piloting a team, just to
Yeah,
have
That's an
that mode.
EDR Mirage for me.
Right.
Agreed.
It
Agreed.
just to have that something that you want to play to feels really, really good.
Yeah, totally agree. And I kind of want to shift to these other two tours
Okay.
as well. So the Wide League and then the Lily of the Valley tour. One mon I really want to point out is so it got fifth with Joe in Wide League and then second in the Lily of the Valley tournament. But Okie Dokie, curious on your thoughts on this one. I've seen it kind of pick up as the only viable Loyal 3 one that I've seen so far, but seems pretty solid in niche usage. So curious on your guys' thoughts.
Tommy, I've talked a lot. You can take this one.
I like hearing your voice, but
I
what's
don't.
it called? I don't have much to say really. I again haven't played the DLC yet. From what I've seen, Guard Dog is a good ability. Defiant kind of would have been better, right? Or
Mm,
am I wrong?
I think Garbo,
Guard Dog
If
is
it was
cool.
Defiant and couldn't be switched, I
Yeah.
guess then, because if you get intimidated,
Yeah.
you get the attack boost. There's so many other stat drops that could affect you still.
Hmm.
I think I saw a YouTube video where they were using Okidogi with the skill swap Weird Deer.
Oh
That
no.
made me laugh. 'Cause
Yeah,
then
so
you'd skill swap
they were gonna
Intimidate.
give them the intimidate. Yeah, I've seen that with
And,
Melodic as well.
and if you have an Intimidate user on the other side, it's just like you're
Yeah.
in the torture chamber.
Yep.
So that was very funny to see. Um, I feel like it will be good if it has the stats. Like
Okay.
I don't actually know its stats off the top of my head, but its typing doesn't hinder it too much.
No.
With Terry, you could get out if it like you're in a bad situation still. Um, it's interesting. I think again it'll be good in niche situations. Where the more intimidate there is, the better it'll be, in my opinion too.
That's valid. I personally don't like this Pokemon. I think it's a Pokemon that 3 years ago I would have loved.
Stats.
And and I'm not kidding. 3 years ago, I would have loved this Pokemon. You know, it's gonna sit behind screens and it's gonna set up. But I
Yep.
just don't think sitting behind screens and setting up is going to be a great option in this format. Yes, I still think it's gonna be good and it's gonna see its wins and it's gonna see stuff. Because obviously, like, you have Joe with like 5th place, and I also think he cut the trainer school one with it as well. And like you said,
Yeah.
second in Lily of the Valley. But like, it's it's one of those mons when your game plan is to sit behind screens in a format that can be super offensive at times. There's a lot of times your opponents are attacking before you, and when your opponents are attacking before you, almost constantly on a team on the current builds, I should say, eventually you're going to get crit. IV Cudgel is a high crit move. You know, you're
Yeah.
not always going to be able to get your screens up. You're not always going to be able to get your bulk up, and even if you do, they're just moving first sometimes, and they're going to kill you before you can. Right? It's a little bit slow for my style, or a little bit too slow, I think. Just right now, but I think there is potential for it if you can utilize it in a way that allows it to not be as like slow and dedicated to the screens mode.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've just thinking about it now. We haven't really seen a bulk up mon consistently well besides Annihilate since like Scarlet and Violet dropped. If correct me if I'm wrong, but so like this is the first one, not the first one. I've seen a couple other instances, but like that's I feel like is what the more common set is right now is the bulk up set. I've seen AV as well, and I think that has some potential. But I do think that this mon is going to be very much a like low usage mon. It's not. It's gonna do well on certain teams with really good players piloting it.
Mhm.
but it's gonna stay pretty low usage. It's not a very splashable mon. Um, just don't think it's doing quite enough
Agreed.
in this meta, but may eat my words on that. We'll see. I'm sure a player like Joe may come out and win a tournament with it, and everyone's gonna be like, "See, this
No,
mon's really good."
I
But
could see
I
it.
don't think it's gonna be the general like, okay, this is gonna be a 10, 15% usage mon. I think it's gonna be like closer to
5.
3%, 5% a
Yep.
max.
I agree. I think it's a good mon. I think it has tools to be successful. I just can't guarantee that it's, always going to be successful because like I just don't think it does exactly what we want it to do as a player.
Exactly. Exactly. So any other thoughts from this top? I do want to talk a little bit about the 222 Dozo just because it's
Of course you did.
it's made some waves over the past week, and I think it's become a pretty meme worthy archetype, and I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. But before I get to that, curious if you guys have any other thoughts on any
I
of
want to
these.
shout out the anti-intimidate on the 9th place team and the 13th place team here with Melodic and everybody's favorite bird, Empoleon. So I think these are two Pokemon that were really hyped up coming into this format, right? Like they're gonna be good. They've got the anti-intimidate, which is exactly what I think this format needs. I think having that anti-intimidate is very, very strong, and utilizing these, I think you're gonna see a lot more of these Pokemon come into the meta as the meta develops, right? Because right now it's like you're slapping a Melodic on your team. You have no clue what you want your Melodic to try and survive right now. Right, I don't know what 90% of the meta is gonna be like, looking like tomorrow or Thursday, right? Like, I don't know what's happening there, Same with the Empoleon, right? I don't know what I need to survive. I don't know what I need to try and hit in return. I don't know what these intimidate mons that I'm gonna be trying to stop are gonna be paired with, right? Once we know that, I feel like we're going to see these Pokemon creep into the meta a bit more. Obviously, they have some of their sets right now. Some of the things like the early meta sets for the Empoleon, the early meta sets for the Melodic, but I think you're going to see a lot more of these creep into the format as things become more settled and more centralized.
Yeah, I agree. I love Empoleon as a design,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a big Sinnoh stan. I don't know if it's gonna be a stay. I don't know if anyone's gonna really be able to do too well with it, but it does have better tools to be able to do well. I do think Milotic's gonna come back and be.
Yeah.
I really hate Milotic. Not. I think the design's amazing, but I really hate the coil hypnosis sets.
Don't bully my child.
Gonna be. I do think that's gonna be popular, and I'm really not excited for that. But yeah, I think once people realize like how to play it properly and like how to build around it properly, again, I don't think it's going to be like a super high usage mon, but
It'll be very low and very niche. I agree, but I do think there is a niche.
We'll figure out how to do it. Yeah.
I also didn't realize Blood Moon Ursaluna did as well as it did in the Wide League and Mickey Mouse-a-thon.
Mm-hmm. They're there.
Blood
They're
Moon
there.
got
They're gonna
second.
be there. They're gonna be
Yeah.
good mons. It's not a. It's
I
there.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, they're gonna
We'll figure
they're gonna
yeah.
show up.
Okay, and then I want to quickly touch on 222 Dozo. So,
Yes.
those of you that don't know, 222 Dozo is Chiyu, Fluttermane, Qianpao Dragonite, Dozo Tatsugiri. And I have been playing it quite a bit, and it's been kind of picking up, mainly because I think I've been doing pretty well with it. And shout out Himi Turner for building at least the team that I've been using, and it is an awesome
He to
team.
Pittsburgh with it too.
Did
He crushed
to
it.
Pittsburgh
It's
with it.
been
So
a core, but like
yeah, it has been.
it's been a core, but like him, he was definitely the one at the most recently success at the regional, I believe, with it.
Yeah,
And he's a
those
Twitch
six have
partner.
definitely been around,
Sure.
and his version's a little bit. I mean, everyone has their own like specific version of that team, but I think one thing I want to kind of quickly touch on about it is I think it's a very strong team. I think people are underestimating how difficult it can be to play, especially against balance comps. And I think people will start to learn that. I think right now, there are people that are picking it up and okay, like they're getting wins with it, or they're just getting quick losses with it. And generally, hyper offense, if you can play it earlier, you can play it decently well, then you're gonna get wins with it. But I think once balance, and I've faced like I had to face Justin Tang and a couple other people with like playing like New Balance, like old like Gyarados, Iron Hands, all that stuff, and it is a pain to play those teams. But is doable, and I was able to, win those sets. But I think people are underestimating how hard it's going to be to play this team, especially once balance becomes popular. So I'm really curious to see how popular this team stays, and if it's just kind of the meme of the week because like I've brought it up a lot on Twitter and because I've been doing well with it on Limitless Tours, or if it's like something that people are actually invested in trying to play for the future formats. So that's really going to be interesting to see personally.
How many were in the Mickey Mouse slot?
Or like 12 or 14 or something like that.
That's crazy. But I think a lot of people did that for the reason, right? Because like the Mickey
Yeah,
Mouse.
So
that
how
was-
many were in the wide league in comparison?
Let's see. Wide League, Dozo was...
3. So there were none of them were the
None of
actual
them were 222. Yeah. So like I think 222 Dozo it's gonna be a thing, right? And what makes it so good is you have these 3 consistent cores that all are very polarizing from each other, right? So it's like if I want to deal with Fluttermane TU, my lead is generally different from what I would want to lead into any of the other 2 cores on that team. Same thing, vice versa. You can say that for any of the 3 leads with that team. And I think that's what makes that plan so difficult. And even worse, if you get the lead right, they could easily just pivot out of it into something like if they lead the Flutter TU, they can pivot into the Dozo mode, right? There's a lot of options for this team to take advantage of those wrong leads or even to correct leads if they play it properly. But it's not the easiest team to pilot strictly because of that, because those leads are so polarizing that you could fall onto the back foot very, very early, very, very easily with this team like this. And it's going to be good. I think it's going to be around, but I don't know to what extent. I'm kind of in agreement with Conk here. It definitely takes a good player to play it well.
I'm going to the Beast Coast event. I wouldn't be surprised to see some people playing it there.
You'll see it.
Yeah, you'll definitely see it.
You'll see it.
Yeah,
I'm sure Nino's gonna bring it. So if anyone, you'll at least see one. But all right, I want to transition us to a game. So it's not gonna be a super long game, but this game is gonna be Who's That Pokemon? Except instead of
You're going down, Ryan.
No.
guessing, I'm gonna give a list of clues. So I'm gonna say one at a time, and I'm gonna I'm gonna give you guys 2 total guesses at I'll give you guys 3 guesses at what the mon is. So you can guess at any time.
Okay, so no
Or you
turns or anything. Dude, we're just like
Shout
screaming.
out.
We're just screaming at each other.
You can just scream it out. But I will say that like if you get through the first 3 clues and you've given all your 3 guesses and you're wrong, you're done. And then the other person kind of just wait until all the clues come out.
Yeah.
And then make their final
suck at
guess.
Wheel
So
of Fortune.
you got to be a little bit strategic about it.
Okay, sounds good. Also, just before we jump into the game, can I please have some justice for Politoed? Why did my boy not get scalded? I just want to know why my boy didn't get scalded. I'm so angry. You guys do not understand how angry this makes me.
I know he did dirty.
I am actually so happy that Dragonite didn't get dual wing beat because I'm like,
I'm also very sad about that.
See,
I'm
see,
extremely
I
sad
think
about that.
that's healthy though, because imagine being
Right,
the
I do
Shanpao
too.
Dragonite player and being like, "No, I missed the dual wing beat." Like, I actually think it's almost better that it doesn't get it, just because like I feel like you get these like really like I don't know, it just becomes so polarizing, right? Because when you're paired with Shenpao,
Yeah.
the damage output that you're getting, that you're putting out, is ridiculous, right? Especially from a banded Dragonite, and missing a move like that is incredibly game changing. It always has been, but when you're putting out that much damage potential because you're beside Shenpao, it makes it even more amplified, and I feel like that just drives the format to be a little bit more RNG based and less optimal than you'd want it to be. So I'm actually kind of happy on both ends. Like, I'm happy that I don't have to deal with it, and I'm actually happy for the Shenpao players that don't actually have to deal with it on their end, potentially risking that miss as well.
That's fair.
any
That's
other
fair.
big exclusions that we saw?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure
I'm sure we'll come up with something. Also, anyways,
Yeah.
if you're still here, please put justice for Politoed in the comment section. I'd appreciate that.
Yes.
Let me know you're with us. Let me know.
Under our promo tweet, go back to the tweet and write justice for Politoed, please.
I want to see justice for Politoed. I want to see someone do a picture of Amoonguss screaming that I'm still a good Pokemon. And I want to hear if you guys were able to beat Tommy and Sableye at this game.
All right, let's get into it.
yes.
Let's go.
Transition to the
Yes.
game.
Huzzah!
So are
Ready?
these like meta relevant Pokemon Conk, or are we just like Open book.
Yeah, these are all mons that are legal in Regi.
Should I
E?
take
Okay.
notes? Do you recommend notes?
What? I
If
don't.
you want,
I'm
no,
gonna
just
go no.
like-
I'm going sans
game.
notes, Tommy. I'm going no notes this week.
I
Alright.
always have a pen and paper when I'm here, so I got a pen and paper in front of me.
I have one
Right.
too. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go without.
Okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing notes.
right. First mon, the normal type. The slow mon.
Ursaluna, Blood Moon.
Is not moon.
The pause there is.
Actually, I'm gonna give only 2 guesses just because there's not a lot of clues for each of these. So
Fair.
right to change it up, but I'm gonna give 2 guesses.
Low normal type, meta relevant.
As a
Ooh.
secondary typing,
And it's not Blood Moon Ursaluna, so I'm gonna guess regular Ursaluna.
is not regular Ursaluna.
Okay, we all each get one guess left. Oh no.
It's a hyper voice user.
Farigiraf.
It is for a
Let's go! I'm
Point-
winning,
point-
Tommy. I'm winning this, buddy.
All right, now I'm scared.
All right, so we have 3 mons, so it's best 2 out of 3 here.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh God!
okay.
Wait, that's it? I don't get a lot of time for attention. I need to get these next 2. Oh no.
Right.
I'm in
Right,
your head,
this next-
Tommy. I'm in your head.
Oh no.
This one's a water type. Generally, I would say it's kind of like a support mon. Relies on muddy water.
Politoed.
Gastrodon.
Melodic.
Not gas. It's not melodic.
No!
That's your 2 guesses. Okay. Has a secondary typing. Has different colored forms. Storm Drain mon.
Tatsugiri.
It is Tatsugiri. And like, let's say support mon because it's like supporting Dundozo, you
That's
know?
fair, that's
so,
fair.
all right.
Relies on muddy water was what really was like, wait, it's not Gastrodon? And then
Yeah.
you said different color forms. I was like,
It's gotta be
Is he
gear, yeah.
wrong?
But I knew it was gear. I wasted my guesses. It's okay. I
Yeah.
threw for the content, guys. I threw for the content. Make this a
Alright.
game 3.
All right.
oh,
This
my,
next
my
one.
hands are sweating.
All right. This is for the game. Fighting type. It's 4 times weak to fairy.
Choose
Urshifu
Dark.
Dark.
Does that count for both of us or just me because I said it first?
Counts for both. You
I
both
think
said
it counts.
No-
It definitely
no-
counts for both. 4 times weak
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
It's a stat boosting move. Special attacker. Got some top placements this past weekend.
Como O
It's Como.
Yeah.
Tommy with the
Winner
comeback.
and champion.
Winner and champion. Oh my god, 2 for 2 in the past 2 games.
These games, you're so creative coming up with games every week.
I can't wait to do the game we
We're
did.
gonna get the run back of these games.
We have to.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah, no, we got to
This
start
was a
running
little
back
bit
some of the
shorter,
early
but
games.
it
too.
was the debut. Hope everyone enjoyed that one, and I want to hear if you guys were able to get it before Tommy and Ryan. And I'm 0 for 2 on these last 2 games. We gotta change that next time.
Nah, you know what? Hey, honestly at this point, like you gotta come in here and fight Tommy now. So that's how this is gonna have to work. We gotta get you in on some of these games too.
That's true. That's
I
true.
think it's very cool if like we get the winner stays in and see how long like
Yeah.
the active streak can be. Like right now, Tommy's got the winning streak of 1. See if he can get it,
Yeah.
make it 2, make it 3, make it 4. See how long he can stay in.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure,
the
for
two-
sure. Well,
Two-time game
hopefully-
winner champion.
I don't know when our next recording lines up with Peoria.
I
but
believe
if
it's the week. This goes out Thursday. I believe it's gonna be the week right before Peoria.
okay.
We'll do a Peoria
afterward-
preview.
So we'll do a
We'll
Peoria
definitely-
preview for sure.
And then I know we're winding down. I want to shout out a couple of things before we get out of here too.
Go ahead.
So dude, I don't know if you guys, I sent it in the chat, but seeing the limitless ladder, like I love looking at that. And I just wanted to shout that out because I specifically got shouted out. And yeah, it says I've hosted 36 tournaments. I'm the second highest total tour organized. And then 1784 players. So I'm the third highest total player count in my tours. And Yeah, I just appreciate each and every person that's joined one of my tournaments. Like, it's really cool to see that I'm making lists like that. And I also wanted to bring it up because Conk, you were third on this list. I think it's been updated now because all the tours happened. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if you're still third. Did you move up or down? Like, do you know where you're at now? Have you been
I don't
keeping
know. I
track of
gotta
that?
check. It's somewhere third or fourth, something like that. But yeah, that was really cool to see. I've been
Yeah, like
grinding the limitless
Yeah.
tours, doing pretty well this
No
past.
one asked where I am on the list.
Um,
I wasn't going to. Yeah, I didn't. I was, I was like, I don't know where Ryan is actually.
No, I'm
Let me
yeah,
shut up.
yeah, no, let's not. Let's just not bring up where I am. It's fine. We'll move on.
I have a losing record on Limitless. I checked mine. So
Really?
I gotta change that. Yeah, but I play again. I just play the practice tours every week, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
sometimes I get my ass kicked. That's how it
makes
goes.
sense. Makes
That
sense. And
works.
then
Yeah.
you want to talk a little bit about Beast Coast this weekend, right?
Yes.
Yes. So again, um, promotion is appreciated, not required from me, which I thought was very funny the way they phrased that. So I am gonna freaking promote it because again, that is just so funny that they told me that. So yeah, anyone going to Beast Coast, you're gonna see me there. The tournament's this weekend, $5,000 in prizing. Still tickets available, Brooklyn. So by the time this goes out Thursday, if you could get to Brooklyn, there's a $5,000 tournament. You're gonna see me. You're gonna see Nino. You're gonna see Moxie Boosted. I'm in the and more in the tweet, I guess. I was included in the and more. I would
Nice.
like to think. But yeah, no, that there's a whole content creator server. So Pedons is going. Chuppa's announcing it. My friend Scraw's going. Oh, Justin Karras is in here now. Um, Judy's in here.
Wolf,
Uh,
obviously, James Beck, I'm pretty
There's
sure,
a
right?
there's a
Wolfie,
bunch of
Beck.
incredible players going down there. It's
Yeah,
gonna be a
no,
good time.
Brian Yum's going. Justin Tang's going. Joe UX9's going.
Yeah,
So it's
be
crazy.
awesome.
So
Me and you,
yeah,
Conk, we're
no,
just
there's a
gonna watch
lot
this
of
one from the sidelines.
Yeah, we're watching this one from the sideline, but rooting for our boy Tommy, obviously,
So
to
wait,
take it home.
before I guess should I spoil what team I'm gonna bring?
Keep it a surprise. Keep it a
Keep
surprise.
it under
Everyone
wraps.
tune in.
Keep it under wraps for when you win the event.
Yeah, everyone
All right,
tune
I'll tell
in.
you
Watch
guys
Tommy
after
this
we're done
weekend,
recording.
and
Yeah.
yeah, see what he's running.
And yeah, Tom Hayden show with Bruno came out too, so I wanted to shout that out. Tom Hayden show with Conk is gonna come out soon, so be on the lookout for that.
For sure, for
Is
sure.
there anything else we got a promo?
I am here for
We're
the
good.
Polytoad propaganda, and that's all I'm here for.
So
We want that.
Polytoad, what else should it have
Oh
gotten?
well, we
Like, what
want
else
we want
can
to
make
hear
Polytoad
any
broken?
of your thoughts on any of Reg E. We want to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on the game, and if you were able to beat Tommy and Ryan, and if we want to see your best drawings of Among Us screaming out, "I'm still a good Pokemon."
Justice and
But
Polytoad.
yes, yes. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun recording this episode.
Always.
So until next time, bye everyone.
See you guys.
Bye. Love you.